Hey friends, welcome back to our cozy corner of the internet, where we sip tea and spill the hottest stories. Are you all ready to dive into the juiciest, most scandalous stories of the week? Imagine discovering that your deepest insecurity has become the topic of conversation between your boyfriend and his best friend. This revelation shatters your trust and leaves you feeling exposed and betrayed. How do you navigate such a painful and personal breach of trust? Let's dive in.
What should I, F24, do if my boyfriend, M25, discuss my private parts with his best friend? To start with, I have always been insecure about my private parts. Does not look like the ones in porn. After the first time we got intimate with my boyfriend, all seemed fine and well. We have been together for more than a year and all was good. However, I was afraid he might have mentioned something about my private parts, and I checked his phone. Of course, I found out that he texted his friend right after that he must be cursed cause I am the second girl in a row that he had ended up with who had a long labia. Well, I found out what I was looking for, but I wish I had not. He wasn't aware it was my deal breaker, but after a while I told him it was, and then I asked my boyfriend a couple of times before I snooped, and he was swearing he would never share such details with anyone. Now I don't know what to do. He is aware I found out. He says he loves me. He also was texting his friend that he was happy about our sex life, that he could spend the rest of his life having sex just with me, but again, he shared my biggest insecurity with his best friend, and I feel devastated, like the whole world knows. Would you be able to forgive something like that?
Oh, imagine a guy being so dumb and disgusting, he needs to be told to not discuss someone's genitals with his friends like he's a dog in obedience school. Why do people even give their partners the benefit of explaining afterwards? My long labia and I would be walking out the door with our suitcase.
There was an OP about a wife discussing intimate details with her friends, and the husband was upset. There were easily 80 to 100 posts from women saying, "We all do this, get over it." By the way, not all women do. Many do not. The ones that do were assuming all other women do it too. Bottom line, discussing details about your partner's body and sexual performance, particularly ones that are potentially less than flattering, is not okay if not okayed by the partner.
What's wrong with long labia, by the way? Some people find them aesthetically unappealing. Out of those people, some find long labia to be a turn-off and deal-breaker. It's a preference thing. OP's boyfriend's still a moron for talking about her labia without asking if she was okay with that, though, no question. Frankly, I wouldn't care if my husband talked about my labia. Whatever, it's a body part. I would be very upset if he did it and lied about it, though. Lying is a huge issue for me, and I won't tolerate it.
Now, let's hear a different perspective on this issue, one that addresses the unrealistic standards set by the porn industry and emphasizes the importance of respect in a loving relationship.
First of all, every person is different and has also different private parts. Never compare yourself to porn. These are actors, casted, and also have plastic surgery is done. They don't reflect reality, only fantasy. You are a real person and not a fantasy, and there's nothing wrong having long labias. He disrespected you. He knew about your insecurity and laughed about it. That's not love. He loves fucking with you, but a partner who loves you is respectful and wants to protect you, even in front of his friends. You have every right to feel hurt, and I would suggest reflecting if that's the type of partner you want and feel comfortable with.
My boyfriend was not aware about this boundary. I told him about it, and then I asked if he shared it with anyone. His previous girlfriend had the same vagina, and he struggled a bit with sex. He was afraid it could cause the same issue, but with time he realized the vagina wasn't the problem. He told his best friend, as he knew also about previous girlfriend.
You shouldn't have to draw a specific boundary around and do not discuss my private parts with your friends.
He thinks sleeping with 2 women in a row who don't have porn-perfect labia is a curse. Girl, come on, you can do so much better.
It doesn't matter if he knew you are insecure about it or not. He shared a very intimate detail and laughed about it. Sure, he also wouldn't be cool if you share a specific detail about his dick with your friends and laugh about it.
He's an asshole for even thinking that way in the first place. That he would then share it with his equally asshole friend makes him double the asshole. This isn't about boundaries, a hugely overused and poorly understood term. It's about maturity and basic decency.
Girl, stop being a pushover. You're really going to rationalize what he did by saying he didn't know it was a boundary? That's not a boundary, that's common sense. Literally nobody would like being talked about like that. Literally everybody would be pissed off and offended. This excuse you're making up for him could apply to a lot of things, but that doesn't include things that are universally obviously very inappropriate and hurtful. It's not like he tickled you because he didn't know you don't like being tickled. He is talking shit about your genitals. Come on.
If you want to forgive him, you can, but I wouldn't. He lied to your face about it repeatedly. This is a boundary I set up early on in my life for dating. In my early 20s, the girl I dated talked to her girlfriends literally about everything in our relationship. Our sex life, the good things, the bad things, etc. When I confronted her about it, she just tried to tell me it was no big deal because all women talk about their relationships like that. Well, it was a big deal to me. I broke up with her and every relationship since I have established very early on that my girlfriend is not to go and share the intimate parts of our relationship with her friends. If she has an issue with me or the relationship, she needs to communicate with me, not her friends. You set a very common boundary for your relationship, and your boyfriend broke it and then lied about it repeatedly, even going as far to say I would never do something like that, knowing damn well he did. I wouldn't be able to date someone who's willing to lie to me like that just to keep themselves out of the doghouse.
It's clear that setting boundaries in relationships is crucial, and when those boundaries are crossed, it can be deeply hurtful. The repeated lies and disregard for your feelings show a lack of respect and honesty, which are fundamental to any healthy relationship. Now, let's take a closer look at the emotional impact of such betrayals and how they can shape our trust and expectations in future relationships.
Yes, see, there's only one problem with your whole soapbox speech here. Drumroll, please. You did set your boundary in your situation up front and adhered to them as promised. She didn't. Mind you, I'm right there with you. I think it is a positive component, but not the only piece of your perspective on relationships. I do make room for the occasional fuck-up as I'm human too. A little grace for people who deserve and have earned, and it from you is not weakness. It's forgiveness for a first-time offense. She is breaking up with him over a boundary she never set, he has no knowledge over. He's never been anything less than decent in all the normal ways it sounds like if they've been together a year, but she got a little crazy, snooped his phone. Talk about boundaries, and found a not nice, but let's not pretend guy group text chat is meant to be representative of our core lol. The poor dude didn't even know he did something. A year ago, lol. This girl is young and we were all young and dumb once, so I'm not gonna smash on her. That's hard lol. But this is pushing the limits of cray-cray that you can get a pass on at age 24. Listen, we all should have stopped and reconsidered the circumstances we aren't seeing after she said the pussy boundary is a result of several insecurity because it doesn't look like the ones in porn. I mean, insecurity is one thing, but if I have to melt down and make GFS walk on eggshells because I can't cope with not having 12 inches of schlong in my pants. And that's the only acceptable standard I think the ladies want. I'd be insane, right? That's all I'm saying. My boyfriend was not aware about this boundary. I told him about it, and then I asked if he shared it with anyone. His previous girlfriend had the same vagina and he struggled a bit with sex. He was afraid it could cause the same issue, but with time he realized the vagina wasn't the problem. He told his best friend as he knew also about previous girlfriend.
Honey, it is everyone's boundary. Nobody is okay with that. He knew it was wrong and hurtful, and he did it anyway. I never told my husband I would be mad if he threw our kids through a window, but you can bet I wouldn't accept that excuse if it happened, because he knows better. Your boyfriend knew better.
No way you're actually saying this? You should not have to say this is a boundary. It's common sense to not talk about other people's private parts to other people. LMFAO. What?
What? You don't have to spell it out to your so not to talk about your vagina to other people. And then say he was cursed with you. This is just basic respect, which he clearly doesn't have for you. I would leave. He's not the only guy out there.
Don't argue semantics. You asked him directly if he talked about your vagina with his friend, and he said no. That was a lie. He lied to your face. Lying is a boundary that does not need to be discussed because it's obvious.
It's pretty f***ed he said he was cursed. I think it reveals a bit about him and his current feelings towards you and women. I'm trying to rationalize, imagining if a woman was with two men in a row and found out maybe their size wasn't what she wanted and then actively said she was cursed to her friend. I don't know if that is conducive to a long-lasting bond as compared to a short emotional connection. Not sure how long you've been together, but anyway, good fucking luck with that new wound. I don't know if I could handle that happening to me without going into mental delirium. I don't think it's about a boundary or hurting your partner or whatever with hurtful words at this point. It's about his attitude towards you even if he enjoys you or chooses to stay with you.
A bit more than a year ago, I also wrote that he texted the same friend months later that he was happy with me and could have sex with me till the end of his days.
Well, okay, I suppose it could be him making a very poorly worded statement more about the discomfort and difficulty of it all. If he was able to be there for you and your concerns and dispel the doubt, and you believe it's true and not knowingly backhanded behavior and disrespect, then maybe it's all right. I think my biggest factor would be if it is disgust/dislike versus it just gets in the way a little bit and makes doing things slightly more difficult. I'm cursed, whoa, is I. Sounds like the latter might be what it is, and as long as he doesn't act crappy to you about your feelings about it, it's all good. Still, sorry that occurred to you. It's still kinda messed up he decided to share that, but I'm not going to claim that's not super common/not the utmost worst thing you can do to someone. Probably ideal course of action if you are to stay. He proves to you he enjoys it. The more I read, I also think you did state that boundary, no? He said he'd never say that to anyone. Just in perspective, people beat each other or manipulate each other or cheat each other in points of their relationships, and yet they still remain together in a relatively good life because that is what they've chosen. It's kinda up to you how far you want to go down into that.
He texted his friend that because he knows you still go through his phone.
You would have spoken to you about your genitals and how it affects him and his genitals. Who is involved in that?
OP, this thread is crazy because everyone is wildly blowing this situation out of proportion and then downvoting you when you give honest answers. I don't think you're going to find rational feedback here, and generally probably not in this sub. There wasn't a boundary set, and people talked with their close friends about all sorts of things that they probably shouldn't. If it bothers you this much, you should set the boundary now and gauge his regret when you tell him how much this will upset you. If he's not empathetic, depending on how you deliver the information, then it will tell you a lot about him as a person. Make the judgment from that, not from him doing something he didn't know was wrong. Sorry for the responses you're receiving.
Wow. It looks like this thread has turned into a full-blown soap opera. It's like everyone's ready to hand out pitchforks and torches without considering the full picture. Anyway, I agree, boundaries are important, but it's also key to communicate them clearly. Let's see if your boyfriend is worthy of an Oscar in the regret and empathy category. Now, let's dive deeper into how setting boundaries and gauging reactions can reveal a lot about a partner's true character.
Hi, thanks for your comment. I also see that it got out of control a bit. I still believe that despite not stating a boundary, talking about the private parts of your partner is a bit too much. However, he was really sorry, and I see in him an immature guy who really had assumptions from his previous relationship. Knowing he wrote months later that he could spend the rest of his life with me could compensate for that. I am going to therapy, trying to figure it out as I am still a bit hurt. Thanks and all the best to you.
What is wrong with this world? Now labias are being judged? As if a penis and furry little balls are so good looking. They look like Squidward tentacles, for goodness sake.
Penises have always been judged and used as something to mock men for. In the same way that women generally don't like small penises, men do not like large labia. OP's boyfriend is definitely in the wrong for talking about it to his friend though. That would be the equivalent of her telling her friends he has a small dick.
Wait, since when do men dislike labia? I never heard of that, and I am not young.
Not sure if you've seen all the Arby's memes making fun of them, but that's what that was about. It's not about men disliking labia but just labia that stick out.
He texted his friend that he was cursed and then lied to you that he was texting about how happy he was. I call bullshit. You know it's bullshit. We all know it is. First, why are you insecure that you're perfectly normal? Labias come in a huge variety of shapes and sizes. You are perfectly normal. Your boyfriend is immature and doesn't respect you. I don't know why you'd stay.
What I wanted to say was that he did not have much experience and his ex also had the same kind of vagina. He thought that he wasn't attracted to her because of that. Unfortunately, that is what he has learned from porn. He strongly believed that vagina was the issue while he admitted to me now that he was the issue. When he met me, he did not realize that yet, but he said it all became clear very quickly that in our case, he just was so into me that the vagina did not matter. Before me, he had 2 sexual partners and really was not experienced.
I'm sorry to say this, but you are either insecure or desperate to be defending him. What he said was extremely hurtful and uncalled for. That he is cursed, he also lies to you, and those will lead to more lies. Is that a toxic relationship you want to have? There are lots of men out there who are more respectful, have some dignity, and find someone more appreciative, loving, and respectful of you.
That he must be cursed cause I am the second girl in a row that he had ended up with who had a long labia. I have never heard a single guy talk bad about it, or even care about it really. I have heard plenty of selfish guys being picky and shameful for other things though, and those are the dude brothers that aren't worth dating. If you think porn is the standard, then you or your BF watch too much porn. You already know it's not rare. I fucking love labia, any size. Same with boobs. You think this is a problem with you, but it's actually a problem with him. Your BF just likes to shame. If you had some kind of perfect genitals, then he would just badmouth other things about you. It's who he is. He feels empowered when putting you down behind your back, which will turn into him doing it to your face eventually. He was swearing he would never share such details with anyone. He knew it was my deal breaker and he was afraid of consequences. Now I don't know what to do. Well, he lied, and he shames you behind your back. If it's a deal breaker, then break the deal. It's really that simple. I think he belongs in a dumpster, so dump him. You caught him lying, which means he's a liar and will just work on trying to not get caught next time. Be with somebody you can trust, and who likes you. It's definitely a male preference. It can be a preference either way, definitely not heavily one way if generalizing all guys. It's not like she's some random hookup. Do random hookups deserve that treatment?
So he nudged your genitals to someone, and then lied to you about it. I'm not really sure what is worse, but if I saw my person indicate that he didn't like my labia, there's no way he would ever see it again.
I do have as I feel now like the whole world knows just because he told that to his friend, especially in such words. I was afraid my pussy could be an issue for some immature guys, and my worst scenario literally happened. Okay, maybe not the worst, because I was afraid someone would make fun of me in public.
1. Your genitals is perfectly normal. Porn is a nasty industry that chooses specific features. And yes, this includes pussies. They feel will appeal to the majority to ensure higher revenue. Yours is perfect and beautiful. Ignore porn. 2. I'm going to assume he hasn't seen a lot of genitals if he is thinking your very normal vagina isn't normal. That speaks more to his lack of experience than anything else. 3. The issue is him telling details you said were off limits to others. The issue is not with your perfectly normal vagina, it is with his lack of ethics.
Boundary or not, he shouldn't be discussing his girl's body parts anyway.
I don't understand people sharing intimate details about their partner with their friends. Why would you want your friend to know that sort of detail about your partner? As for forgiving, do you want to forgive? The timeline is curious to me. You've been together more than a year. How far back did you first sleep together? Did you go back 12 months on his phone to find he'd messaged his friend about this? That's a pretty thorough dig into the past, chasing down a specific insecurity. If he's otherwise been a good boyfriend and you're otherwise invested in the relationship, I'd ask/accept a sincere apology and make it clear he's not to discuss the private details of your body with his friends. If you're on the fence about the relationship, then this is just one more reason to move on. Only you really can decide.
At this age, they are so damn immature that it's pathetic. They lie, say stupid things about their wife or girlfriend. I doubt he'll change no matter what he says. Is he perfect?
Sigh. Girl. This is not a boundary that needs discussion. It should be obvious to any grown human with any semblance of morals that you do not discuss your partner's private parts with others, especially in such a negative light. I think this speaks to the type of person he is, and it's not good. Immature and very little integrity.
Discussing this kind of thing with others is one thing, but the fact that he considers himself cursed is a deal breaker whether he shares it or not. Why on earth would you stay with someone who is bothered by something you are insecure about and can't change? Should you forgive him for talking about something private? Maybe.
But it doesn't matter, because you shouldn't be in a sexual relationship with someone who thinks your naughty bits are a curse.
Why stay with someone who sees your uniqueness as a curse? Time to move on.
Maybe it's a generational thing. I'm 45M and it's been my understanding, confirmed by just about every partner I've ever had, that when a straight woman takes a new lover, it's safe to assume she discusses his anatomy and sexual prowess with all her friends.
What he did was very, very bad. I would never feel comfortable around him or trust him again. I would tell him this when you break up with him. He needs to understand just what a violation this was. He had no right to reveal details about your body to anyone. Send him packing, my dear. You aren't interested in dating a little boy.
If this is your deal breaker, then, yes, you break up with him. It doesn't really matter that he didn't know it was your deal breaker, because any decent person wouldn't need to be told not to discuss your body like this to his friends.
He's lucky you even let him see it. Little boy is what you have there. Please know you are normal and he is a jerk. I would not at all want to be around someone who shares our intimate moments with other people and has the absolute audacity to talk about long labia like penises that don't come in all shapes and sizes. He needs to grow up and you need to move on. You have no reason to be insecure, because someone is going to love all of you exactly as you are in every moment of the day, just as you are.
Then dump him. In all seriousness, my high school BF used to complain about my labia to his friends and how he wished I had a porn star pussy right in front of me, and instead of standing up for myself, I took it and for years let it hurt my self-esteem. So you need to stand up for yourself. Reasonable men don't care about long labia. He's just a porn-addicted loser.
I genuinely cannot express the personal vendetta I would feel against someone whose first reaction to having sex with me was to text their friend to complain about my genitals. I'd eviscerate him. The thought of letting him anywhere near me again would be repulsive.
Oh honey, drop this loser of a man-child. It's perfectly normal to have long inner labia. There are millions and millions of different vulvas and they don't look like what you see in porn. Bodies and vulvas aren't symmetrical. You're perfect just like that. Please stop giving a crap about what dumb half-wits say. I also recommend you read Viver la Vulva, a collection of feminist short stories by Lauren Maria Davies.
So you did not have it as a boundary, okay, no issues there then. Let's talk about the real issue. He lied about it many times. Are you okay with that? That is the question you must ask, and then what will he lie about next?
It's never appropriate to tell one's friends about one's partner's genitalia. I would not forgive my partner if I found out he talked about my body to his friends.
I feel you're making this too big a deal. I know not everyone does, but the vast majority of people always gossip about their partner and sex life to friends. While what he said was a bit of an assway, it's the same as women who tell their friends that their boyfriend has a small dick, a curved one, a big one, etc. Hence why I say that I feel you're blowing this a bit out of proportion.
Literally not an issue. You do what you want, but this files easily under getting in the way of your own happiness over an insecurity.
As far as your boyfriend, 25 guys are dumb. They say stupid shit. Did your boyfriend act with malice? Did he intend to hurt you? Has he since continued to act in a malicious way? Does he seem sorry? Are you happy? Is the sex good? It seems like a one-time stupid comment that likely won't be repeated. I would give the relationship a chance and move forward. If he seems like a cruel, mean guy who says cruel, mean things, then dump him. If not, then work on coming to terms with your biology and don't self-sabotage your way out of a happy situation.
What a conundrum. You snuck behind his back to get the damning information, and can't tell him, because you would be revealing your actions. Maybe it's time to change your deal breaker and modify it. He loves you and enjoys sex with you. He talked about the long labia and things, I don't know what the heck that means, but not in a she's icky kind of way, just sort of as informative. If he is good to you, then maybe modify your deal breaker.
I think in his case it was rather immature. He had a previous girlfriend with this kind of pussy, and he wanted to believe it didn't work because of that. He told me he was afraid as he liked me very much, and based on previous relationships, he thought it could cause us issues. He wasn't aware that my pussy was that big of insecurity until later on. At that moment, I also asked if he shared that with anyone, and I would also answer no. I would be able to imagine consequences. It was after we admitted to love each other. He also says the issue was him. Never any pussy. Neither mine or the ex-girlfriend. I see that he also suffers seeing me devastated. I see he regrets. I go to therapy, try to work on it. It is just so hard to forgive.
After hearing all these perspectives, it's clear that respect and honesty are non-negotiable in any relationship. Boundaries matter, and how our partners respond to them can reveal their true character. If someone can't appreciate your uniqueness and instead sees it as a curse, it's a strong indicator that it's time to reevaluate the relationship. Before we wrap up, there's one last statement that needs to be heard.
Reddit is too fast in suggesting you dump him. Based on what you said, though, yeah, it is bad. But only you know the bigger picture. Is he worth forgiving? Is he likely to do it again? Why did he lie? Maybe it was a raw reaction because he loves you. My dog eats her poop because she senses I get mad when she poops in the house. Do I dump her? Analogy being he did something bad then did something worse to hide it. But maybe out of love. Thing is to look at the bigger picture. All couples will face serious problems. It always takes communication, often takes compromise, and sometimes, but not rarely, it takes forgiving. Yes, Redditors are always "oh my god, dump him." But think, you can't have possibly typed his whole character. Maybe he is worth it.
In relationships, respect and trust are paramount. When those are broken, it's not just about the betrayal itself, but also about how it makes you feel. The way forward is clear. Prioritize your self-respect and don't settle for anything less than genuine love and appreciation. So, here's the question. Would you be able to forgive such a betrayal, or is it a deal breaker for you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more discussions like this.